Okay, so let's take a look at this game. Darth Lala and Rumford. So, okay, yeah. Often when people make this shape, black quickly plays here. Now you don't have to, like this black move down here is not a bad move. And I'll explain why this move is also appealing. The reason why black usually wants to come here is because whenever you have a wide extension along the side, like this one, usually it combines really well with a corner enclosure. The reason is because, for example, if you imagine black coming in, then white can attack, maybe kicking and, you know, maybe something around here to attack. And black is just very much under attack here, depending on how white wants to play it. And so black already has to use really special means to come in. And so white already gained a lot, not only in the corner, but even for the side as well. And if white gets to add more moves like here or here, then it starts to really, really become territory quickly. And it's also a two-dimensional framework. When you have a two-dimensional framework, which means like developing along two sides, it means that your vertical potential in the center here is going to start to become a thing as well. Now, the downside of two long extensions, like imagine white plays something like this. The problem with that, okay, the reason why high-level players often, not always, but often avoid this kind of shape instead of just going here, is because when black plays a 3-3 point, you have to pick a side to block on. And whichever side you pick, the other stone is going to end up not in the best place. Like if you imagine, like you see that this is open still, black can keep going. So there's no territory here. And because there's no territory here, it means that this stone is no longer in an efficient spot. It's not the worst inefficiency in the world, but white would definitely wish to pick up this stone and put it somewhere else. And that's one of the reasons why jumping in the 3-3 is okay against this double wing. So a better version of double wing is to have one of your wings being small. Another thing to notice, one more thing I want to add, is like black has to play really specially to come in here now. Like this kind of tactic, and even then, still getting really small and attacked. Maybe something like this, and still under attack. Or, you know, or approach normally and get attacked. Or attach here, but get sealed into the corner and live in Gote, something like this, which also helps white develop this side, not just this side. If you dive into the 3-3 here, you're going to get a Ko. You can't even live unconditionally here. Like if you go here, white goes here and just kills. And if black cuts, you just extend. So you have to make a Ko with a hanging connection here. Boom, boom, boom. And white takes first. So just adding one stone already makes a huge difference. Whereas if black hurries and approaches here now, black can still get a fairly even looking Joseki result. Especially, I could show the Pincer example, but even just imagining white playing here, you can see that this Joseki will still work the same way as an even Joseki here, despite white already having a stone there. So the timing makes it really high urgency for black to approach here. So hopefully you guys understood that part there. Now the reason why it's fine for black to approach here though is because it does let white play here, but you also get to do like a double approach or whatever you want. So that's also going to be a bit of a local loss for white. And also black has a high position with this corner enclosure. When you have a high position, it means that further moves along that side become a bit better because you get a bit more potential by being up on the fourth line. And it also means that you're sort of defending against like your weak underside. Like it's always annoying eventually when white plays here. Like you wouldn't want to normally just block like this because that becomes inefficient. Like that becomes as though you played here, right? And then white played here and then you just kind of went like this. That's how you know you're doing something wrong. Unless it's really late in the game, right? If it's really late in the game, then this kind of move just to defend your points, or even like here, can be good sometimes. But it really depends. Like at this stage of the game, you'd probably be pincering or ignoring. I don't personally like to let my opponent get this move usually when I can help it, but a lot of that just comes down to style. Okay, so white pincers. White is clearly planning to play M3 next, I think. Pretty soon. Yeah, M3. Makes sense. And it's possible even for black to double approach here, or sometimes even play something like this and let white get the upper hand here. Okay, so black jumps in again. This should be fine too. White splits the side, black extends, and then blocks here. I would suggest jumping down. It's a little bit better. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of with peeps or anything in here. It's just not going to work straight up. Like, if you want to kill the corner, you can just push and clamp here. There's many ways. You can even go here to kill the corner. And if white goes here, white's actually dead already. So at that point, you could just play here. Or anything you want. Something to fix the cut. Even here. Yeah, so this jump down's a bit better usually because it also provides you with more stuff along the edge. And even the ability to connect under. Like, let's say you invaded here later. Then you would have this connection under waiting for you if you ever need it. Another thing is that when white eventually plays a move like this, you're not stuck having to go here to fix. You could go here. And this actually means that white's first line move here is not going to be Sente. Like, it's not going to finish in Sente. But if you play here, right, and then white comes in like this, you're stuck going into this pattern here. So there could be an endgame difference there too. Whereas with this one, if white attaches, you have the freedom to make it the same or make it not the same, or even ignore it more easily, or even resist like this. And then either Tanuki now, or jump here to clean up your corner, or even double Hane here like this. And then we expect something like this perfectly timed peep, make black a B2 bomber, and then extend, and black plays one of these moves. Maybe here. So this isn't really a mistake. Like, it has one upside. The upside is, well, this, although this can be, you could try to resist, but sometimes white has this kind of technique where they get a couple of forcing moves here. But I think usually the trade-off's not worth it. I think it's usually better to jump down to here. Okay, white jumps. Pretty normal. Black pushes here. So that's, okay, that's saying you want to develop this a bit and you want to stop white from playing the knight's move. Ah, no fix, eh? What's going on here? This attach is really unusual. This doesn't seem good for black. White can cut here. And because of the push and cut down here, black's gonna have to respond with something like this or push. And this is a pretty big cut. Like, black can't even go here because of this. Black has to jump. White can attach. It's pretty uncomfortable. This one, white could just go here if they want to, and I think usually that's not so great for black, but I guess we'll have to see. Black would presumably play here, and white probably goes here, and black wants to cover. White will either crawl or play here once and then crawl. I don't know if that's enough for black. Black gets an outside, but white gets Sente. White can get this one. And what else? And then white can come and cut here or develop the top. I don't think that's very good for black, to be honest. And white could have just gone here. Yeah. Because if you just want to get something on top, you could just make something on top. This Hane should be fine. For this cut, you know what's going to be better than Atarying here? Is Atarying here, right? Because if black responds, now you can capture. So that seems better. So black has to go out, and white can take or even play it like this, and black's whole corner seems to be dead now. Right? So this this was not good for black. You guys, oh, I guess you guys didn't play away from that for too long. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So I think the result is actually still better for white, but white could have done even better. So the culprit is this move here. This is not a good move. So what should black do instead? Like a group like that, like a 2-space extension group, this group has like at most 4 points, right? And it doesn't even have those because, as many of you guys know, black can come underneath and connect to either side. So there, it's actually 0 points, and usually this kind of group often ends up worth more points to black than it is for white. Black gets to attack and bother this group in various ways, and white's just not getting... So this group is really just there to exist and divide up the side, I think. And so you don't really need to mind losing the points here too much. And Atari here, I think it's a bit better because, yeah, you're going to get a strong outside. Black needs to play here, and you have Sente. You can do something here. You don't even have to play a move here like in the game now. You could just cut here. This cut's really big. I guess the real game still has some vital points sticking out. So actually, maybe the real game version is fine too. It kind of depends what happens with this kind of move, and yeah, it's probably safer if black played something else. Oh, black's running this. Oh, I don't think you should run this. Like there's, I don't even know what happens yet, right? But there's so much white up here, and there's white over here. I don't think black should run this out. I don't think so. Before we even look, what would I do if I were black here? Honestly, there's two main things on my mind for black. I want to fix this problem here, like the cutting point, / like develop this. I don't really want to develop this too much because it is pretty small, but because developing it might help me, like basically I want to fix this cut. The second thing that I think is important is I think it's pretty important that black deals with this, because this thing is only going to get bigger, and I think you need to go in now. And if you do get some black stones eventually out here, then you might become able to pull this out. But if you pull it out now, I don't think you're going to gain anything. I think that you're going to make white solidify all this. And this white group is just going to keep moving in a straight line, and it's going to be totally fine too. So I think black won this game, right? Let me check the game information. I hate how it says result, resignation. It doesn't say who won. But I think I know. I'm pretty sure black won this, right? Yeah, black won. So right now, though, I would have been betting on white. Well, let's see. Who made bigger mistakes so far? Right now, I think both players should be pretty much fine. But this move is one of those things where if it works out well for you, then it could end up as like extra efficiency. There is a reason why today's pros generally don't like this, making this kind of shape, except for more specific circumstances where it's just simply the best move. But again, it's one of those moves where if you can really cash in on it, it can actually become a better move. Yeah, M17 and in some cases L16. It's just very annoying that those are there. And white doesn't really have an efficient way to defend it either. Like you're never gonna want to play a move here unless of course black makes you. Then you might be happy to, like later on. But even like black's jump, like if you imagine this exchange, like this corner is so much more territory than this, especially with this one being not only still leaking from the side, like black can look forward to this kind of endgame sequence later on, leaving almost nothing left in here. But also, it can even still be invaded. Like you wouldn't really do it a lot of the time, just because many times you might be giving white more than what you're getting. So it has to be late in the game or in a certain game shape of the board, but like this invasion still works completely. The only way to stop the connection under is like maybe a diagonal here or trying to get this one in Sente, but even then, there's going to be too much space between this direction and trying to move out that it's not going to be, black's not going to get captured. So yeah, it's just not a very, it's not a very great shape, but it's not something I would really criticize actually, because again, you could turn it into a good move many times. So it's just, I just wanted to give it as food for thought for anyone who doesn't know kind of like the consensus about this shape in the pro world. And it's been this way for a long time too. Again, I don't think it's like even up to very strong amateur level or even pro level probably. You know, I wouldn't say it's like bad. A lot of amateurs like K16. Like if you play on Fox and Taigem up until a certain rank, or even probably even still a little bit at 7 Dan, you see a lot of this move. Like when I'm playing 3 Dan games, 5 Dan, 6 Dan, ranking up an account, I see so much of this. And then the higher you get, you know, when you start getting to like 8 Dan, 9 Dan, you see this a lot less. It's good food for thought, right? Understanding why this move's not being played much above a certain level. I'm not a fan of it, but you guys can play it. I'm not going to call it bad, but I just wanted to give you guys that info. I'm pretty sure my rule of thumb here is similar to something Michael Redmond said recently on stream, but basically, like whenever your pincer is farther than a one spacer, it's often a good idea to just connect here, because this kind of move can be really, really annoying. So, like, I think white should just connect here. Yeah. This Agi is going to be a bit easier to handle than this annoying bumping thing from before. So this way, up to here, it's actually black 58.6% is what it's showing me right now. Okay, whereas if we did the solid connect, now it needs to analyze a bit, but I'm expecting it to be maybe like 55%, something less. Maybe 56%. So rule of thumb, guys, just don't play the fancy fix at F2 unless the stone is right here. That's the easiest way. Yeah, 55% in this case for black. So yeah, you lose 4 or 5% as white by choosing this one. This is all pretty negligible though, to be honest, at this point, but just thought you guys might be curious about that. A lot of people struggle with the idea of invading here. They think they're gonna die or something. And for Dan players, right, the possibility of dying here is not even, it doesn't even come up. Like, I'm not sure for some of you guys in chat in the lower Dan level, but I think the thought of dying just doesn't even come up. Unless there's a bunch of white stones out in the center here, it's just not even a thought. Like, the only thing you think about here is, like, should I do this right now? Is it going to be good for me on the whole board? Like, I want to empower people. I don't want anyone thinking that they might die here or something. You could just extend here and you're not going to die as long as you keep crawling. And a big mistake is doing this Hane to get this Atari, because doing that just cuts down your own liberties, and it's actually a very classic Q mistake that, or even one Dan sometimes, but I did this a lot too at some point. And this allows white to take a double Hane here. It's a very bad mistake. I'd be willing to bet that, like, at least there's probably at least like 7 or 8 people, if not more, in the chat who do this sometimes. Maybe I'm wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that, because, like, for me, I was making this mistake even when I was close to 1 Dan. But yeah, it's a very classic mistake. You go here because you're trying to make this into a sure Atari, right? You're manipulating white's liberties, right? And so it makes you feel better about this wedge. Actually, you can wedge here directly, but there's 2 ladders to check. I actually kind of like white here, even though some people might have expected me to prefer black here. I do think that black should be fixing this, or somehow, yeah, preventing white from cutting, making it, discouraging it somehow. Okay, so let's move forward. So this one, okay, is this one necessary? I guess white's defending against the double peep here, so that kind of makes sense, yeah. That white is defending there. Yeah, I think this kind of maneuvering is a good idea for black. Why do we keep seeing this attach? You're talking about this attach here, and then now it's here again. What's going on here? I guess it is possible here because white is white's kind of short on liberties eventually with this, so I guess I guess. I would have expected something more like pushing and then just jumping here. Ooh, this looks like an overplay. This is definitely an overplay. Yeah. Another oopsie. Ah, okay. Here. This Atari looks kind of painful. What about just extending? Because this Atari is not only painful, but it's helping black a lot. This black move looks a bit sus. Looks a bit suspect. Like maybe this one. White gets a peep here, but it feels like black's direction could be better. If black pushes and white cuts, maybe Atari once. And then white's going to try to cut. I think black could try to fight with that. Like if black extends, it's dangerous though. This requires some reading, but white would extend, black can jump here thanks to that stone. And now white's actually kind of trapped inside, right? So this looks like it's possible for black. It still depends on what happens with these two black stones, so it's still quite dangerous, but black has forcing moves on this, and at the same time can try to put a little bit of threat on the white wall if it comes down to it. Although the white wall is pretty resourceful, especially with the gap here. So maybe scratch that part. Of course, black could also Atari and jump, or even just jump directly if they are afraid of getting swallowed up. And still, if white plays here, black can jump here. So I feel like that's a pretty cool plan for black. I think white's actually pretty screwed here if it goes like that. So that means white shouldn't cut then, right? So white plays maybe something like this, or just block here. That looks like a success for black, at least in terms of getting safe. But the overall result for white is probably better because white gets a big top and pretty strong outside. Yeah, I'm not liking this move though, because like you get peeped here and the shape is weird. I guess it'll still kind of work. Like white probably still wants to add a move, something like this. Is probably reasonable, and then just let black run away. Something. And white can still attack more, like maybe even just move out here now. And black would have to keep going. So it's overall still a pretty annoying situation for black. This cut is still waiting here. And stuff in this corner is starting to get big. I'm still wondering about this too. You guys were not looking at this spot? All right, what's going on here? So boom, boom, boom. Oh, this is a very questionable cutting going on here. It's called getting old. Getting old in the span of like 1 month. I don't think it's getting. I am getting old, but I don't think that's getting old. This cut seems problematic. Like, what are you going to do if black pushes here? Oh, he already left actually. But I don't really see how this cut is possible. Unless you're planning to kill everything, like something like this happens and then white peeps and goes here maybe and tries to kill everything, but I I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. No. So if black just pushes and white blocks, then there's this Atari, right? And that just doesn't work for white. And even if white goes again like this, black is going to be able to cut here. Whether white Ataris or not, white has to spend a move to fix this part. And then there's this, and then there's this. Or even here first, and then here. This just doesn't work. You can't cut like this. So that's why black played here, I suppose. Yeah, so I was really I just really surprised to see this kind of cutting. Unless like the plan was to go here next. Oh, okay, this is what happens. Oh, you... Ah, but you did this too early. Ah, no, 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 no. No! You just need... You would have won the game as soon as you cut here. But... Getting to block off like this, locally, is a very big gain. It even makes it so that you might not need to fix this cut, so that's pretty good. White's top side is pretty big though. It's not as though white is getting a bad result here per se. Between white getting a little bit gain over here and also out here, it's probably okay for white, especially getting Sente too. But definitely you ended up with a much better result than it should have been. In fact, let me check what does AI think at that moment. White has a 99.3% win rate here. So at this moment, what does AI think? AI thinks... So black did gain a lot here, but the problem is that white gained too much. As soon as this stuff happened, yeah, it's pretty much like supposed to be white's game. Black gained around here, but it's not as much gain here as it looks because a lot of that was going to be black's anyways. And you managed to win this game. Wow, let's see what happens. So white cuts here. Okay. Okay. I'm starting to see what's going on here. Huh? Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were gonna I actually thought you were gonna play here. Cause like there's gonna be some stuff here. But instead you focused on making eyes. So white made some mistakes here actually. It's because white's vulnerable. So not only is there a wedge here eventually, but it's not even connected here. Black could play here, for example, and wedge, right? And then what's white gonna do? White's like starting to die. It turns into a liberty fight, but not necessarily because, yeah, suppose it's like this, then what happens if black just wedges now? But yeah, AI was very sad when you played this. But you made it alive, so at least there's that. Plus, you might not be you won't necessarily know that you're like way behind right now, right? It's not necessarily so clear. Most of white's territory is on the top, and just a little bit down here with quite a bit of black follow-ups to be had around here. So it's just like a little bit down here, like a komi down here, plus another komi, plus mostly the top. Whereas it is a lot, but like black has this corner, the side, most of this corner, and yeah, so black doesn't really look that bad, but black is definitely behind actually. This move seems a bit like hyper aggressive. Like, why not just cut this? Cutting this first would mean that black is going to be more limited in how they can respond around here, and they have to spend lots of moves. And then you're still going to be able to play this, and this will actually end in Sente because black is isolated. I think white should have probably cut here. I mean, locally this is kind of big, but it's probably okay to suffer, like to let black do this and just go down. Since white has an eye here, so it should be okay. Oh, and you can even fight back. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's a big oopsie. Things are starting to fall apart for white. Like there's gonna be a wedge here again. There's a peep here too. Yeah. White is starting to throw, it looks like. This move's a bit funky. You could probably just... Actually, it's fine. This is fine, actually. It just looks a bit modest. But yeah, I think it's fine, actually. Might be good if you took this one, because white can't block. Probably gotta go here. Alright, there's the cut. This is a good chance for white. But black has two eyes. Ah, okay, going for some co-action. You probably get more co-threats here if you cut, by the way. Like, it's probably too dangerous for white to play something like this. There's gonna be this Atari, and then this Atari, and then just here, right? So, you're gonna get a lot more co-threats if you cut first, I think. In total, you'll get like at least 3, if not more. Oof. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's kind of a trade, though. Oh, what's happening? Black looks dead. Did white overcomplicate? Oh no, white overcomplicated it. Oh no, like all white needed to do was probably this, right? This is just dead, right? This is just dead. There was multiple ways to kill this even. This this looks like it kills too. Here and then maybe jump to here. But that's a bit more complicated to think about. This one though, I mean, yeah, like black could go here, and this at least ends up living for black. So that's kind of a lost chance for white, but then this is like a super chance for white. And this just doesn't work. And even in the real game, here. Yeah, I guess that's just gonna be a Seki unless, so white needs to go here. This would have just been like game over. Oh man. Okay. I think black should cut here. Why not cut? This white move looks like an overplay. Sente to peep G9. Q6 is Joseki. Ah, really? No. Hold on. Not exactly, I think. No. Like, okay, so when white pushes here, right, instead of defending this, black can't exploit this cut until black makes more liberties. So black jumps here first. Then white does some kind of fixing, and then black attaches here. It's not the attach here that comes first. It's usually the jump that comes first, right? This is the Joseki that I know. So in the real game, although I agree with your move, but I wouldn't say that that was Joseki unless there's something I don't know. So when we go to this part, like the Joseki would have been push, jump, something, and then here, right? But unless there's a Joseki I don't know about, but what it looks like is that you adapted, like you played moves that make more sense than the Joseki here. Because like there's so many stones around, it wouldn't make sense for you guys to follow Joseki. And white doesn't have to defend here, right? That's the thing. Oh, you said you wanted Sente here, but you don't really have Sente here, right? I think this might be the moment where you said something about Sente to do the peep over here, but white doesn't have to respond, right? It just means that later, like if you do go back and cut this, you now have an extra stone inside at S8, so it's not efficient. Actually, I've actually seen people make this, like this happens a lot. On stream a few times, and also like teaching and stuff. I've heard that reasoning before, where it's like you didn't do this stronger thing because you wanted just to get Sente, but it's usually like a logical mistake because you're assuming that they continue locally, but they don't have to, right? It's not on the same level though of like, you know, I've seen before a much bigger type of mistake where people are augmenting and limiting their own play like early in the game because they're saying, oh, if I play this way then they get less co-threats. Meanwhile, there's no Ko on the board yet, and they're just like voluntarily losing points because of some future Ko that might never appear. So that's a huge thinking mistake. You if any of you guys are thinking that way, you need to get rid of that ASAP. The only time, like even when there is a Ko on the board, it's still quite a question whether you want to lose some points locally to respond in a way that makes there be less Ko threats, because it's still you're losing points. The Ko is about points, but you're losing points because of the Ko. If there's a spot where you and your opponent both know that you can make a Ko there, but the Ko hasn't been made yet, you can still consider that as a Ko that exists, because if the shape itself is already on the board and it just needs to be made into a Ko, and like it's basically common knowledge about that shape where you and your opponent both know that there's a way to make a Ko there, and it's like a straightforward path that they can't really resist, right? Then you can consider that Ko as almost like being on the board already, in a way. Okay, so I guess what happened? Resignation happened here. Okay, so that's a nice comeback. That's a nice comeback. The opening was pretty nice and pretty even. And then Black made the first mistakes. And it kind of got worse and worse until White was 99% leading. And then it was Black's time to shine, and Black started to reverse the game. Not even at this part, but after this part. White, I guess White didn't realize like how comfortable the game is. So they started to resist, even though they started to go further, even though, like, for example, around here, the shape is really questionable. And they really need to add another move there first. So the way this should have gone, probably, aside from maybe White, like, possibly responding here, because, like, just building up this part could be just worth it anyway, even potentially losing these 2 stones. But in terms of up here, like, White basically needs to play this one, but one of these moves, and then Black gets time to do this if they want to do this, and then White can play elsewhere. For me, I think I'd rather look at something like this for White. Although I'm kind of scared of these cuts. Like, there's so many cuts everywhere. There's a cut here, there's a cut here, there's a cut here. So I'm really not a big fan of F2, especially with J3 so far away. Having to extend again, right? Like, if you can't Hane here, it really starts feeling like F2 is losing you points. So yeah, nice game, guys. High level comment would be, I mean, for Black, I think the main thing was really this part. And I think that leaving this cut available here didn't really get punished at all in this game, but it could have been kind of bad for you at some point if White finds the right time to cut. And White handled this part pretty well. At least White, if not both of you, sort of didn't think about this cut very much, but also you guys seem to be missing a lot of things about the life and death in this corner. Later on, that corner ended up being a place where White could have won the game, but then... Thanks for the view. Time for some coffee? Yeah. Special thanks to my patrons for making this all possible, and an extra special thanks to Daniel Boy, Rum Ford, Taras Bob, Kadar, Grey Margin, Leginkar, A. Petresk, BCast1984, Svaso, Mr. Lalonde, Darth Lala, and Muskrat19 for going the extra mile. If you guys enjoyed that, please like, comment, subscribe to help the channel. Stay safe, keep sente, and I'll see you guys in the next one.